Welcome to Unleashed. I'm James, joined along with
Rob McDonald here.
and on today's show, we are going to be discussing everyone's favorite villain, Green Goblin.
Green Goblin, yeah.
Green Goblin. We're going to talk about Kylo Ren today. Do a little Kylo Ren talking.
Right there.
This guy right here, he's a cool guy. I like him. He's got great hair. And there's a cat that looks just like him, so Google that cat. So anyway, Rob, when Force Awakens was announced, we had no idea who the villain would be. We knew it was going to be Adam Driver. Then that teaser came when we saw Kylo Ren from behind, and then a couple of days later, I believe they released the Topps trading card, where we got to find out his name, and then it was a teaser at Star Wars Celebration, the Chewie We're Home one, where we first saw Kylo Ren turn and do the Force thing like that. Which ended up being him stopping the blaster at the beginning of the film, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So did Kylo, and then we watched the movie, obviously, and we find out who Kylo Ren is. He is the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Ben Solo.
Ben Solo was his name at one point. So what were your initial thoughts of Kylo Ren after watching Force Awakens? Did he live up or meet expectations that were given, that you had for him?
I mean, for me, he definitely met their expectations. I mean, a direct comparison that I always thought of him, and especially with his growth in the movie, was that I right away took him up next to Anakin, and in their prequels. And one thing that I automatically thought, that he was done so well, and they chose such a good actor to portray him. Unlike, Hayden Christensen has his people that like him, but for the most part, I guess he's mixed at best. But meanwhile, I thought Adam Driver was so good in this movie, just representing that downfall and like the problems that he had, like as in terms of him choosing to kill his father or not, but just doing that so well in that movie. And like how you mentioned, how it was like at first you just thought, oh, he was this guy, that just turned on his lightsaber, and that's what literally my friend Mike thought for a lot of it. He was just like, hey, that's the guy with the cross-guard lightsaber, and that's what he called him for a little bit, because people didn't seem to know his name at first. Even when the first poster came out, I think you and I had a discussion where I had a misguided thought that he was Luke Skywalker the whole time.
That was one of my least favorite theories going around, was he was Luke Skywalker.
No, yeah, I think I was just literally the only reason I thought that was like, hey, Luke's not on the poster. It's like, or is he?
I think Kylo Ren is actually more. You said Anakin. I think he's more Luke Skywalker, and that Luke Skywalker was supposed to kill his father for the Emperor and couldn't, and now Ben Solo was supposed to kill his father for Snoke, and he could, and so we're seeing the reverse of Luke more than of Anakin, is what I think there.
Yeah, I only drew that comparison because they were supposed to show like his. I guess all three of them really have that in common, where it's their descent and how the dark side is tempting them, right? Luke is the difference between the three because he actually repelled the dark side.
Well,
he overcame it. Both Anakin and
it's the fault
Ben were
of
consumed by it. Yeah.
It's the Skywalker blood. If you
Yeah.
will. It's the Skywalker blood. It has some problems, definitely. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Well," because they blame it on Han Solo, like it's Han Solo, like because he's the smuggler, so he's the one that. Well, you're forgetting that Leia's father was kind of a jerk.
Yeah,
and
we may learn about Han's father in about a year from now, a little bit over a year.
You think
if
we're going to
that
learn
stays.
about Han's father?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure maybe there'll be some type of mention of it or something like that. I don't know if we'll see him, but
Could be.
I imagine just with the fact that, of course, I'm talking about Han Solo in the spin-off movie.
In the Han Solo movie, the Han Solo movie. Let's go back to Kylo Ren. He was trained by Luke. We learned this in Bloodline. I mean, we assume when Han Solo says one of Luke's students turned, we all assume that it's Ben Solo, Kylo Ren. We assume it's him, and nothing is concrete in that. But we know from Bloodline that Luke was off training Ben. Do you think there were other members in that Jedi Order?
I think there definitely were. I mean, I think even a strong possibility, in my opinion, is that some of those members, in fact, turn out being Knights of Ren or in some type of way. Like, I could definitely see. I mean, all this is speculation because they're really holding these cards close to the vest. Obviously, they're not going to reveal in that stuff, I think, until possibly Episode 8. Everything else would just be inferences one way or the other. But obviously, just for there to be a Jedi school, it would have to be more than one student.
Well, they never say school. They say he's trying to rebuild the Jedi Order.
Right.
So
but
it
one would
doesn't
assume that he wouldn't try to
necessarily-
do that with one person, I guess. But
Well, how do you start?
possibly. Yeah,
Start with
obviously,
one.
yeah, you got to start with one person. And
You start with one. I kind of hope that the Knights of Ren aren't fallen Jedi, actually. Aren't from his Jedi Order. Yeah, that's me.
or Mandalorians.
No. No. I don't like either one of those. I don't have a problem with either. I mean, if either one happened, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm just saying the fallen, they were old Jedi, Padawan of Luke, and it just, nah.
No, I know. Yeah,
I don't need them to be anything.
that's the thing about this, right? That there's so many theories and so many people are thinking about every possibility of who these people could be and whatnot. Hence, the brief one that I mentioned that I said, oh, maybe they're the Knights of Ren, as in Sabine Wren or something like that.
Oh,
the
Sabine. We'll get to that one another another day.
time.
I think the Knights of Ren could be cool if they were just a cult, and Kylo Ren. That worship the Force or the dark side of the Force, and they see Kylo Ren, and that's why he's the leader of the Knights of Ren, because he's so powerful with the dark side, and they're like, "Whoa, master!"
Yeah,
like the Ewoks were to C-3PO. That's how we get Ewoks on this show. We have to tie it into that somehow.
And the only comparison that Kylo has to C-3PO, I think, maybe.
Well, his grandfather built him.
That too, but yeah.
So
I mean, as a character standpoint.
So it is his uncle. Yep. C-3PO is Kylo Ren's uncle.
Yeah.
That's what we're taking away from this. So, okay, so going on. There's something with Kylo Ren that Snoke wants. Leia says in the Force Awakens novelization that Snoke has been watching over Ben since he was in her womb. And we know from the Force Awakens movie that Snoke is the one that seduced Kylo to the dark side, and he's the one that did it. And we know that Snoke was not around when Leia was pregnant, which is strange. So we brought up on Unleashed a few weeks ago that what if Snoke is a fallen will, but not necessarily that and with this what we're going on here, but more he is just pure darkness. Like Snoke is just evil. He's nothing. He's just dark side matter. He doesn't have a physical form. So now when Rey, Sloane, and all them go to the unknown regions and they find Snoke, they find this dark matter. Maybe he's trying to manifest himself into some kind of physical form, and he can't. Something is going on where he hasn't fully manifested himself.
Right. Oh, that's definitely an interesting option. Just this idea of he is evil incarnate in a certain extent. The dark side incarnate, where I guess can be sort of inferred that. In terms of the way that Shmi had Anakin, that maybe Anakin was kind of supposed to be the Force incarnate, but
I think it might be Rey. I think Rey might be pure light.
That side, that's possible as well. I mean, it's all speculation, but that's a cool bit of speculation. I mean, to have Snoke and just to have this, in a way that could be the ultimate evil, the dark side, just manifesting itself in the form of Andy Serkis.
Yeah, he's manifesting himself into this creature. So what if this creature now, if he's there, but he needs Kylo Ren? They all say he's using Kylo Ren. He needs Kylo Ren. What does he need Kylo Ren for? The Kylo Ren is very strong with the light side and the dark side of the Force. So I'm going to point this to you. Why does Snoke need Kylo Ren? Flat out question, why? And everyone is expecting an answer.
Well, I will do it the very best I can. So I think it's very interesting. The ultimate, first guess could be that it's just the rule of two, as in that he's the master and he is.
But they're
apprentice.
not Sith, though.
Yeah, they are not Sith. That is correct. So just by the fact that him being that, he might just not adhere to this idea that was created by, I think, was it Darth Bane? Bane created the rule of two. Instead, he may, in fact, since he is just this manifestation of the dark, he needs a vessel in some type of way. So perhaps in a way that he could get perhaps the ultimate lineage, the ultimate version of it, get somebody with Skywalker blood that is obviously extremely skilled to use him as a body, perhaps in some type of way that he could go into, and perhaps this younger self. I mean, it's such an interesting idea because in a way it's something that we've never really seen in the Star Wars before. It's like a almost like a sci-fi-ish.
So
like
does that
complete
fit
sci-fi.
into the Star Wars universe, into the Star Wars lore? Does that fit?
Well, I mean, we've had several things that may not fit, at least in terms of the movies, right? Like, the fact that it's such a fantasy-oriented, like, movies and, like, universe altogether, it can just imply that there could be different things. Like, the fact that Mother Townsend, she's, like, a sorceress, right? And that doesn't necessarily fit in the movies.
But that's also not in. Yeah, it's not in the movies though. This
Right.
now you're proposing is going to be. It could be in a movie, and the movie audience and the cartoon audience and the comic audience and the novelization audience. They're all. I mean, there's one giant audience, but then there's also the film audience, the $1 billion worldwide audience.
Right. No, that's true, and it's definitely a stance for it to take. But at the same time, if they're really planning on literally doing these one movie a year, at least one movie a year over the next whoever knows how long, they have to find different realms of the story to go to, right? Different areas of it to go to. So perhaps at some point we will see something more sorceress related in terms of that, and in terms of broadening out what the story is. Including something that's a very sci-fi-ish type of perspective, like Snoke wanting Han Solo as a body, just broadens the universe and brings more to the Star Wars universe that people could just take the ball and run with, right? Suddenly somebody like, Tony Gilroy, who did Ex Machina, could run with in that type of a way.
So what you're telling me is that Snoke's going to try to take over Kylo Ren's body, but there's going to be too much light in Kylo Ren, and Snoke's going to dissolve into a light blur.
Yeah,
and explode.
We've just spoiled episode 8 and 9 for you guys.
I kind of have this feeling that you watched Chucky recently.
Chucky, absolutely. That's what it was.
When you put it in.
I literally think that perhaps he's going to look exactly like what's the actor's name?
Wormtongue.
Stephen Dorff. No.
Wormtongue.
Yeah, Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings.
That's who he is.
Yeah. I know it's an odd scenario for it to take it. I mean, it's a stretch for the Star Wars universe, but I feel like
once you have a virgin birth, I think you're open to whatever you want. Like I think they've put that in there. Why can't they put this in there?
And midichlorians, yes.
Well, midichlorians exist whether you give them a name or not.
It's true,
People need to stop bitching about it. Who cares? God, didn't ruin anything. It's a possibility that because Snoke really likes Kylo Ren because of how strong he is in the light and the dark. So if he's gonna take if he took his body as a vessel, would that even matter?
Right, and I mean, it might or it might not. Right, like if Snoke's literally looks exactly like we're to expect he did in the hologram in terms of in Force Awakens, that body looks pretty beat up. So if he wants to be able to manifest his body, manifest the power that he may have inside himself into a younger body in terms of something that he could use better, that could be a possibility. Also, something that's interesting is we're talking about Kylo Ren and him possibly using him. Maybe if that is what he wants, where he wants to get into Kylo Ren, suddenly he's like, oh, there's this girl, Rey, that could be stronger than him, and actually defeated him in battle.
Well, and him and Kylo Ren have at least heard of Rey.
Yeah.
At some point. But what have they heard of Rey? Yeah, what have they heard of Rey? But that's another topic for another discussion. We're on to the Kylo Ren. Yes, so maybe there is somebody stronger that he thinks. Maybe it's Kylo Ren. But what if he doesn't want to use Kylo Ren's body as a vessel? What if he just wants Kylo Ren because he knows his physical form will never be complete? Snoke can never take a full physical form because he is of the dark, and that's just how it is. He's going to be what he is. So he's very vulnerable to Jedi. Or to like that, but he's not vulnerable to un-Jedi.
Yeah,
but so he needs somebody to combat the Jedi.
Canada.
He needs somebody to combat the Jedi for him because he cannot do it because he cannot manifest into anything. He is just darkness, but just darkness has no bearing on this galaxy, on the physical form of anything.
He needs Horcruxes.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. I mean, they're borrowing from everything, and why not? I mean, Star Wars initially came because George Lucas couldn't get the rights to Flash Gordon, so he made Star Wars, and here we are talking about it. That's just how it is. You borrow, they borrow, everyone borrows. Nothing's completely original. You always take, and it's fun to take, and it's fun to speculate on these things.
It's like a quote that Shakespeare said before, that he said that I think there's like 7 story types, and everything like borrows from those types.
Yeah,
of story
and that's how it
types.
is, and that's
And,
just
yeah.
what it is. And when you stray from that, everybody hates it. I saw the Battleship movie.
Battleship's not bad. I've definitely thrown it on sometimes in drunken crazes and just gotten some enjoyment from that type of movie. But anyway, Star Wars Battleship, right? That's the next movie.
Rihanna is joining the cast of Star Wars as Rey Sloane. Where were we on? It's talking about Snoke and Kylo Ren and their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Snoke, let's say Snoke and Kylo, let's say Kylo Ren knows Snoke is using him. Is there a possibility that Kylo Ren is in turn using Snoke?
There's definitely a possibility. I mean, we haven't seen that big level of intelligence of Kylo Ren really yet.
He's too unstable. I think that's the problem. He's too unstable.
And he's still like relatively young, and he can be very well influenced by certain things. But to have that type of an idea where he is using Snoke perhaps for knowledge or in something like that, and he has a plan of his own to maybe overtake Snoke and take him out. Like that's a very Sith type of quality where like not only does sometimes the master want to kill his apprentice at whatever point that's suitable to him, but the fact that the apprentice would want to kill his master is at the same time. It goes hand in hand. It's
what happened with Palpatine and Plagueis. I think you know what I think the problem with Kylo Ren is that he needed to kill Han to accept the dark and to journey deep into the darkness. But when he killed his father, he actually felt more of a pull towards the light. And then this is when Snoke tells Hux he needs to bring him back to complete his training. And I think Kylo Ren is failing in terms of the dark side. He is not the dark master that Snoke was hoping he would be. There's too much light in him, almost. But there's and Luke says in Empire's End that where there's great light, there's great darkness. So you'd also figure that where there's great darkness, there's probably great light at some point down the road somewhere. I don't. But let's say Kylo Ren has that light, so he has the great darkness, but that great darkness would also bring on the great light. And when you have them both fighting against each other, which one wins? And right now he's killed his father, yes. Many people say he cannot be redeemed because of that. But what if it's not about being redeemed? He doesn't need to be redeemed. He just needs, if he's the light, he just brings the light to him. He doesn't have to be redeemed. He's not looking for redemption from anybody. And this is why I've always thought that he might just stay down that path in the middle between the two and not be dark or light. He'll be kind of a gray type. I guess he'll be an anti-hero gray because of his killing of Han Solo. And we as movie fans will never accept him being a hero. So he can't be a hero, but if he's someone that understands how to use both sides of the Force equally, he could be even more powerful than anybody else. And I think Snoke might even be afraid of that.
No, yeah, it seemed to be a path that Anakin seemed to wanted to take in Revenge of the Sith, at least. Like he would seem to want to. He wanted to be a Jedi, but he wanted to understand this power that Palpatine influences with, where he could prevent death. Like that seems to me the thing that he really wanted to do. And of course, with the way it turned out, he got pulled so far by the dark side that he eventually just became his apprentice and became Darth Vader and so forth. But this idea where, I mean, I don't know. I mean, people like you pointed out, people seem to not want to forgive him because, I mean, he killed Han Solo, right?
Yeah.
He killed one man, but the thing happened to be that he killed one of the most popular characters in Star Wars. So
which, I mean, needed to happen, and it's the best way for it to happen is that it just makes sense.
Absolutely. And I've spoken to several people that have just been like, I can never forgive Kylo Ren for doing that. But somehow they were able to forgive Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, even though he killed like 24 younglings or a dozen younglings.
The big difference that I think people forget when they say this, when they're like, I can't forgive him, but I can forgive Darth Vader, is because Darth Vader, when you first meet Darth Vader, you have not seen him commit any of those crimes necessarily. Yes. Like you see him as Darth Vader, then you find out, oh, he's the father. Oh, he's not that bad of a guy. Then we go back, we watch prequels, we see what actually happens. But that mindset is already in place that Anakin is just this guy, and he, and obviously he does. Kylo Ren can be redeemed. and now let the comments roll about how he can't be, but he definitely can be redeemed. And he might, you know what, it could be a redemption in that he, at the very last minute, he sacrifices himself and does it. Or I would really like to see, though, his redemption happen, but nobody can accept it. Like, we can't accept it. Leia can't accept it. I don't know how they're going to play the Leia cards now, but no one can really accept it because of what he's done. So now he has to live as a hermit.
No, yeah, and that would be just a very interesting way to take him and make that character live on, possibly past this new trilogy that we have, and where he could possibly be maybe the Luke Skywalker in episodes 10, 11, and 12, right?
And then you could take a new character that maybe we haven't even met yet, and he can be like, learn from my mistakes. Yeah. I was supposed to learn from my grandfather's mistakes. I didn't appreciate that. Now this is your chance, so he can guide them in that direction. All of a sudden, we have a whole new trilogy. I mean, we don't know if the Skywalker saga is going to end after 9. We don't know who. Like, they keep saying it's the Skywalker saga, which I've always thought is to separate it from the spin-off films. That's why they referred to it as that. But why not call them the episodes? But whatever, that's what they're doing. So if it is a Skywalker saga and they are about Skywalker and Rey is not a Skywalker, let's just, for argument's sake right now, Rey is not a Skywalker, which I know a lot of people don't believe she is anymore anyway, but for this, she's 100% not a Skywalker. She is Rey Quadaneros. That's who she is.
I would love that.
No, that would be the best. But she's Rey Quadaneros for this argument. So now, if you're going to continue the Skywalker saga, Rey is not the one that you're following anymore. Rey could still be a part of it, obviously, but you're like Obi-Wan Kenobi's a part of it. Like, so, and Lando and Han and all them are a part of it. They're not Skywalkers, but they're a part of it. So Rey could still be a part of it. So now Kylo is your Skywalker that you follow. And is that the plan they've always had?
Possibly. Again, there's a reason why in all these movies there is, sure, they call it the Skywalker saga, but really in the original trilogy there's 3 main leads, and that is, of course, Han, Luke, and Leia. And in the prequels, as much as people don't seem to care about it, the 3 main leads are pretty much Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme.
But even I would go even Sheev is
sure.
Prequels are very much about Sheev. The prequels are about the Empire coming into fruition, and they're about the wrongs of the Jedi Order. And I think this new trilogy is about, I think Luke's takeaway from everything is Anakin's takeaway was that the Jedi Order is wrong, but the Jedi Order is so full of itself that it thinks it's right. Okay. Obi-Wan had similar feelings to Anakin, but he never fully strayed. And that's why when Obi-Wan teaches Luke he kind of teaches him one side of everything. And I think Yoda also understood that, and that's why you never see the prequel side to Luke's training. The Jedi Order mentality you never see. Like, everyone's like, oh, there's no commitment with Jedi. But that was never actually spoken to Luke. If you watch the original trilogy, they never say, don't have a spouse or anything like that. Love is forbidden. They never say that. It happens in the prequels, and I think that's part of Anakin seeing that that's what's wrong. Their views on everything are wrong. Mace Windu wanting to take down Palpatine is wrong. The Jedi consider themselves so great and so perfect that they're not seeing their own flaws. And so now I think this new trilogy, I think we're going to see Luke have those takeaways. That the Jedi, and that's why the gray is being built up, because the Jedis were not perfect. The Jedi Order was not perfect.
Yep.
And so we're going to see that transgression.
Yeah, and it's a reason, I guess, that the two remaining the 2 remaining Jedi that train Luke are Yoda and Obi-Wan, and the fact that they've been away from the Jedi Order, they've been away from these ideals and rules that they had for 20 years,
and they might not even have fully believed in those rules necessarily.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, we've seen in stuff like Clone Wars that, regardless of the fact that they're not supposed to take on lovers or anything like that, like Obi-Wan and Duchess Satine, like they were super close. Like they were pretty much in love, except they just may not have done anything, or maybe they did.
And that's why Rey's a Quadaneros and not a Kenobi in this thing.
Yeah, but it's like they're besides that, Yoda and Obi-Wan, they're 20 years away from having this Jedi Order, and Obi-Wan's on a damn desert planet. The man has needs. He's got to do something. So perhaps there's things that they pick and they choose, and they must understand. And I think Yoda understands, but it's the fact that Yoda never tells Luke any of these added rules as to what the Jedis are supposed to do and not.
He tells him the basics
Yes.
of controlling the Force, of being a conduit for the Force, and that's what we believe at that time is what Jedi are. But Jedi are actually this whole other thing. And Yoda mentions he had his own council, but he doesn't bring up the details of his council.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, and I mean the fact that he doesn't bring that up, yet at the same time he's full on telling him it's like, when I am gone, the last of the Jedi you will be, to Luke, and just embracing that part of it. It's Yoda's perhaps acknowledged that some of the stuff that the Jedi Order was influencing and telling people to do was not right, and he's just giving him the bare bones so he could create, his own Jedi Order, which he tried to do, but obviously things happen.
If Snoke is not just dark, even if he is, do you think Yoda has ever come across Snoke?
I think it's definitely possible.
Like, do you think
he may not have known perhaps what he was, because if he's as powerful, pure dark side, perhaps he's so powerful that Yoda would not even feel his presence, know that he's there. So perhaps he did at some point. I mean, I hope that things like this is something that we'll learn in Episode 8, because learning who Snoke seems to be is a very important thing for Rian Johnson and co. to do in Episode 8.
Do you think so?
I think it
I think we're talking about Snoke. I think the people watching us want to hear more about Snoke, but I think the average film goer, the average person that goes out to watch Star Wars, that spends their money going to see Star Wars, not more than twice, like two times.
Right.
I think they leave and they're like, I think Snoke is just kind of like whatever. He's the Emperor basically, who just kind of shows up, says his lines, and that's it. And they don't necessarily care more about him, whereas we do. So if you go into the next one is Snoke, what we want to learn more of, what they want us to learn more of, or is it more, let's see what's going on with Luke and Rey and their training and Kylo and find out what this big battle at the end is going to be?
Right. Like, you don't have to know specifics, I don't think. And then for the casual person, they don't need to know specifics. Like, in terms of the Emperor showing up, for example, in Return of the Jedi for the first time, we didn't know specifics as to what he was about and everything like that. I think there's a need to know, especially with everything this character has been introduced as in Force Awakens. It's important to know what frame he's from. So perhaps to know whether he is pure dark side. It would be helpful, I think, to know that. That's something an answer that we need. If that is the answer, we need to know that. Whether he knew the Emperor in some way, I think that's important to know if he does know him. I think broad strokes in terms of what Snoke is about, I think those answers are needed in Episode 8. Everything else, that can be, the regular public just be like, okay, I know who this guy is, and that's it. And then nerds like you and I will get more in terms of who he is in books, in comics, and everything else. Yeah,
definitely. I think we're going to definitely get a Snoke book. Mm-hmm. I think maybe at Celebration this year they'll announce one right after The Last Jedi comes out. I think we're going to get a Luke book and possibly a Snoke. If we don't find out anything about Snoke, I don't think we'll get a Snoke book. But if they, as long as there's a little hint at who he is, I think that's when they open up the floodgates. And like, here's your Snoke book, go read it. But I think for sure we are getting a Luke Skywalker heavy book following The Last Jedi, probably next February or so.
I don't think we'll get anything in terms of Snoke into smoke.
Wait, you auto-corrected your dialogue.
No, I don't think we'll get anything in terms of Snoke at this celebration, because I think we'll get the hints as to who he is first, and then maybe it'll be.
Oh yeah, no, I just mean they'll be like, guess what? We're gonna come out with a Snoke book in April, like they did with Thrawn, right? Like April's the Snoke book. Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna get a Luke book, like I said, February, March, somewhere around there. I think when Empire's End came out, somewhere around there, we'll probably get a Luke Skywalker book, unless they give us something early. Don't forget, there's a possibility we could get a Luke Skywalker book a little bit early, because, I mean, why not? They're like, guess what? It's coming out. You don't know anything about him, but here's a little book that's going to tell you nothing, but you're going to read it.
Yeah, like it's kind of literally like at the first Aftermath, right? Beforehand.
Yeah. It'll be like Luke is on Tatooine walking, and that'll be 346 pages, and I will read all of it and love it all.
And he'll show up in the last two.
Okay, Han Solo says right before his death that Snoke is using you, and once he gets what he wants, he will was it destroy you, kill you, end you? One of those words, I'm sure, maybe not, whatever. He says something, but he says you get the idea.
Yeah.
So, what does Snoke want from Kylo? Is it to use his body as a vessel? Is it to rule the Knights of Ren and do all the dirty work that the First Order can't do? But now the First Order is also seen as... Do you think it's a mistake on Snoke's part? I got to change gears a little bit here. The First Order rose from the dark, right? But do you think it's a mistake? Like, should they have come in, kind of like trickled their way into the New Republic and be like, we're good guys, yay! And then all of a sudden be like, ha! Or maybe that's what Benicio del Toro's doing.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely... We know that from the Empire, there's so many moving pieces. There's so many... obviously the Emperor's at the top, and then Darth Vader is more or less next there, and along with Tarkin and whatnot. But then below them, there's so many people. There's so many moving pieces that could be moving this in so many different ways. In terms of the First Order, this is a question for you. Do you think that Snoke is running the First Order, or do you think he has nothing to do with the First Order specifically?
He has something to do with the First... Well, yeah, he has something to do with the First Order. I think he's the Supreme Leader of the First Order.
You think he is? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I think Hux is the leader, and Supreme Leader is the one that oversees everything. And he's got his First Order here, and the Knights of Ren here, and he's here, and he wants to take over the entire galaxy. And I think he wants to take over other galaxies using this galaxy.
Yeah, because obviously in some ways Hux is reporting to Supreme Leader Snoke.
I think what happened was, I think we learned this in the Aftermath trilogy, is that something dark was calling from the unknown regions to Emperor and to the Acolytes. And I think they were being, and then they go there on the Eclipse, takes a ship of Ray Sloane and both Hux, father and son Hux, and they go to the unknown regions, and we don't know what happens to them after that. And perhaps they meet up with this Snoke character who kind of tricks them into everything else and believing that they are all one, but really he is this puppet master of sorts.
Right. No, absolutely. It's I do think absolutely he has some type of thing. Obviously his title is Supreme Leader Snoke, so he has a huge influence on that. But in terms of his relationship to Kylo Ren, I mean, it could literally be a number of things. I mean, I brought up the fact that he could be using him as a certain conduit for his dark side, like that he needs a vessel, but he could literally just have his own vessel, and simply as that, and he is more like the Emperor in terms of that. He's just influencing Kylo Ren as his number one general and whatnot.
He's definitely weak, though. He's definitely weak. We see his face is falling apart.
Yeah.
Palpatine, I guess, wasn't weak.
Needs some skin medication.
But yeah, and I think is like, isn't he missing like part of his body is missing, and there's a lot of things that are wrong with him, and he's very tall and he's very, very, very thin, which I think could be the dark side trying to manifest itself into something. So I think Kylo Ren as a vessel does make sense. I don't know if it's necessarily something we will see in Star Wars, because it is kind of
sci-fi-ish. Yeah.
It's very out there for Star Wars, but there are other things that are out there for Star Wars as well. So who knows? I mean, anything's possible in that direction, but he's definitely using Kylo. And then, to your point of, is he leading the First Order? A lot of people think that there's somebody else, and it could be Benicio del Toro, it could be this, could be that, could be whatever. But the question mark remains, and you'll see this on Uncharted in a couple weeks with Andrew, and I will be talking about Ray Sloane is an X factor in everything, because she is such a crucial part in the novels. She's in a lot of novels. She showed up in thank you to, I can't remember who said it, but one of our viewers commented that or a couple of you commented she showed up on the Kanan comic books.
Oh,
so she's someone that they keep sprinkling in, and she leads, or she's on the ship that of the Eclipse that goes into the unknown regions. Now, why would she? And both the Huxes, like I said, are on there. So Brendel Hux, the father of General Hux, Armitage Hux, he could die. I mean, he could be old and he just died. So whatever, he moves on, and now little Hux is in charge. So we know that. But Ray Sloane, okay, she also just died. But why not just like? There's an X factor there, I think, with Ray Sloane. And like I said, we will be speaking about that in a week or two on Unleashed.
Right.
So stay tuned to that. But that for me is an X factor into everything, because she was a Grand Admiral, became nothing, and then kind of took it all back and went with the Eclipse into the unknown region. So is she the leader? Are we going to find out that she is? They could bring her in easily as but then again, it undermines Snoke. It undermines the power of Snoke.
Right, but that's why I was kind of bringing possibly a similarity between the Empire and the First Order, in that, you know, the Empire had characters like Krennic, people that wanted to overthrow people that wanted.
Well, that's what makes storytelling interesting.
Right? Yeah. So whether Benicio del Toro's character could be similar to Krennic, or whether he could be more similar to Thrawn in terms of that he's just more a cog in the wheel, but a very smart cog in the wheel. That is the Empire. Is questionable as well. But, you know, I think there's plenty more things in terms of, you're talking about Ray Sloane and her influence in the First Order. I mean, I think that there's plenty more to be seen in terms of the machinations of what the First Order is and how it works. And that will be seen, I'm sure, through Benicio del Toro's character.
Do you think he's part of the First Order?
I think he probably is. Yeah,
would I say guess. Make any sense? Because in my head, I sounded like a chipmunk.
Sometimes you sound like that to me too.
You think he's part of the First Order?
I think he is a part of the First Order. That is my guess. I think whether he is a general in the First Order or whatnot, I think he is involved in that. I mean, there's other thoughts that both him and not Laura Linney, Dern, yeah, Laura Dern, could just be involved in terms of in the Republic.
Laura Dern, I think, is 100% just New Republic, and she just does not agree with Leia, and that's going to create a conflict there. That's what I think.
Absolutely, but at the same time, you know, it's possible that Benicio del Toro could be there as well. But whether he's in there as a First Order spy or something like that, I think that he is a part of the First Order, whether it is. Because to think that maybe we're going to find out so much more about the First Order and all of its ranking members in Episode 8, along with everything about the Republic. I'm not. What are they called? Are they called the Republic in the new movies?
Yeah, the New Republic.
The New Republic, yes. But to see all that, along with Snoke's story, along with Rey's story, all that type of stuff, maybe that's too much. So instead, maybe they will just show the Republic and show Benicio del Toro there. But regardless, I do think that Benicio del Toro is involved with the First Order in some type of way.
Interesting. Well, yeah, he might be involved with them. I don't think he's a part of them. I think he's going to be separate. I don't know. I think he's going to be separate. I think he's going to be a separate thing altogether. Yeah. Okay. He might be working for them freelance, for all we know. I don't know, but I think he's going to be something completely separate. Mm-hmm. I like the one idea that they said on I think it was Collider Jedi Council, where they said that he might be a Sith, and maybe there's 3. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to get away from the Sith, though. I think the Sith are done. I think George Lucas said when Vader and Palps, when good old Sheev, when they were killed, the Sith were no more. Yeah. So I think I'm fine with there being no more Sith, and maybe the next trilogy is about the resurgence of the Sith.
Well, yeah, just I would hate to see the end of the Sith, right? The fact that they're saying that, you know, Luke's last Jedi, and that once he is gone, the Jedi are no more, and, you know, perhaps Rey is this version of the Jedi or whatnot.
When Luke goes and he's the last Jedi, and there are no more Jedi and no more Sith, and then all of a sudden, Disney, Lucasfilm could be like, guess what? We're doing Han Solo, we're doing Obi-Wan Kenobi, we're doing Boba Fett, we're doing the Millennium Falcon trilogy, we're doing, you know, the Cantina movies, we're doing Jabba's Palace, we're doing all this stuff. They could do all that, and then all of a sudden one day say, hey, in this movie the Jedi are back, and they're not Skywalker, and the Sith are coming back, and they're not related. And then all of a sudden you don't have to worry about Skywalkers, you don't have to worry about Sheevs. You just have your own, and they can start from fresh.
Right.
Or they could do the opposite, and they can go back and do what Lucas did, basically, is go back and tell us this is the start of it all. You saw how it ended, now let's see how it starts. Yeah. And they can go back, and then they can go back so far that those movies can happen forever.
No, and that'll be a smart business move, at least for later, because when they announce that, it's gonna be huge and everyone's gonna love it and everything. For me, it'll just be a sad, you know, however many years, the fact that it's like no more Jedi, no more Sith. And
what if they go back to Old Republic to show us how it all started, and it starts with Snoke and it starts with Rey, and all of a sudden we go back and they're the 2 leads again, and you're like, oh, it all started
like back
with
in the old times, so they're both reincarnated and
or something. We don't know, but it starts with Snoke and it starts with Rey in some form.
Mm. So they'll even take it into a more sci-fi area where they're gonna just go forward in time and come into our present. And,
No, they're not forward in time.
And raise a cyborg. And
No, if Snoke is bred from the dark and Rey's bred from the light, then it started with the dark and the light.
Right.
So let's say it started there. And let's say it could be like an Adam and Eve type thing where they're both just the only things there, and then something happens. Well, there is that rumor too about the tree, which is very Adam and Eve, and the tree was a boy and a girl, and the boy killed the girl. So what if that is Snoke and Rey?
Who's the snake then?
There's no snake in that story. It's
okay.
and no, the boy kills the girl, goes home, kills his parents, then takes off. But then the girl is not dead; she's alive, and I believe she was the first Jedi. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And that was a rumor a long, long time ago. And apparently, Luke says this to Rey. No one's mentioned this for months now. Mm-hmm. But let's say that is the story that happens. You could go back now 1,000 years, 2,000 years, and tell that story from scratch and stretch it out. And now all of a sudden, because now you go back and you're like, well, no, we're gonna have to have new characters and no lightsabers and this, but all of a sudden you go back and you're like, well, guess what? Daisy Ridley and Andy Serkis are now, they're there. You could do that. I don't think that's gonna happen necessarily, but it's an idea, and it's how you keep the franchise alive and going with names, recognizable characters, and actors in roles.
Yeah, absolutely. It would definitely be interesting. There's so many possibilities now with the fact that Disney has taken the ball and they're running with it. And they're doing a movie every year, and obviously they're going to keep expanding the universe and expanding the characters and expanding the movies that they want to do, that they want to focus on. That's why it's interesting in terms of the way that they could, Star Wars has been thought of as fantasy and perhaps sci-fi as well.
It's a sci-fi fantasy, yeah.
Yeah. I more think of it as fantasy with some sci-fi elements in it.
It's funny because on my iTunes iMovie page where it separates it by genre, it is not under fantasy.
It is not. Okay.
What's up, Apple? What's up? I was looking for it. It wasn't in fantasy.
Yeah, on IMDb, I think it's actually listed fantasy first.
Well, it should be. It should be like science fiction. Whatever. That's a stupid conversation. Who cares? I hate it when people
Terminators in the Star Wars universe.
When people argue.
It
doesn't matter. It's a movie. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
With spaceships that make sounds and blow up in space. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. It's never going to happen. It doesn't matter. It says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So it already did happen. Let's go back to Kylo. Can we go back to Kylo Ren?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go back to Kylo Ren and figure out who the hell this guy is going to become. I know. I'm just joking. Kylo Ren is. I was a huge fan of Kylo Ren. I love how unstable he was. He only killed. Santeca. Who else did he kill?
He killed Han, of course. And
because like Vader, what's his name? Dolphin. I guess so. I'm so sorry for not remembering this general's name or lieutenant's name. When he comes up and he goes, the BB-8, the BB droid has escaped, and they're with a girl, and he doesn't kill him. He brings him in, destroys the thing, chokes him, and then he's like, go find them.
Yeah.
Vader that guy would have been dead.
Oh no, absolutely,
100% dead. So there's something more to Kylo Ren going on there.
Perhaps he just likes him.
No, but how about? Do you think like Snoke wants him to kill Han to go to the dark side, but he does not turn to the dark side? Then he says we need more training. Do you like? Does Snoke know that Kylo maybe will never become dark?
Perhaps. I mean. It's certainly possible, but at the same time, you mentioned it, right? Like, he had to kill Han Solo, but he also killed Max von Sydow at the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah, and that was just, yeah. Almost feels like, when you think about it, why did he kill him? Yeah. If he's not gonna if he doesn't kill just random, like the villain is always established as a villain when he kills his own men. No, you watch any '80s action movie, that's how you know he's a bad guy. Everybody's like. Batman, Lethal Weapon,
I always shed
Vader even.
I always shed a tear when Joker killed Bob.
Yeah,
why do you have to kill
Bob? I think all 4 Lethal Weapons, the bad guy has to shoot one of his men in the face. Like that's just how you know the bad guy's a bad guy. He's like, I don't care about people. Boom, he's gone. But and Kylo Ren doesn't kill his own men; he kills other men. So that's why I don't think he's necessarily a complete evil guy. And everyone's gonna hate me because he killed Han. He can't be redeemed. And I don't think it's about his redemption. I think he's going to be redeemed himself. He's going to cleanse. We will not ever see it, and it will not that part of it will not factor into the story. We will not need to have him be redeemed for it to be a successful redemption.
Well, it's very true. I mean, people find him irredeemable, and going back to Anakin killed way more people in Revenge of the Sith than than Kylo did in this movie. It's just, again, pointing to the fact that he did kill Han Solo, and that's the thing that's so unforgivable in fans' eyes. And you pointed out it before, like, imagine if we had seen Kylo Ren's story where we knew what his end was, and let's say he sacrificed himself, right? Imagine if we knew that first, and then we actually saw Force Awakens afterwards, right? Seeing him kill Han Solo may be a more forgivable thing because we know where he ends up.
Yeah.
We know what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the interesting part about this. And going back to Kylo, I mean, yeah, he's so cool, and the fact that it's odd that he kills some people, but he doesn't kill other people. Perhaps maybe he's just like, I need these guys, and they do work for me, and I'm gonna need them.
I think Kylo Ren is shaping up to be the most interesting Star Wars villain.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader will always be the coolest Star Wars villain. You're never going to beat Darth Vader ever in a list of top 100 movie villains, period. He's always going to be there, 1, 2, whatever. He's number one. Kylo Ren, though, could be more interesting, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
No, you're completely right. He is like, if you were telling me right now that, only one person from these episodes 7 through 9 can stay as a character in episodes 10, 11, and 12, Kylo would be my choice because he is the most interesting, I think, at least right now, out of the big four.
Yeah, they have a little bit more to
newly
flesh out
introduced-
with Rey, and Finn's awesome, but Finn is Finn. Finn's Finn, and Kylo's the villain, and the villain is always most interesting. Now, Rob, before we go, thumb up or thumb down on a canon video game of Darth Vader taking out Jedi.
I want to see Darth Vader kill everybody. I want to read a comic book where it's just
No, this is a video game. I'm saying video game, not comic. Video game where you get to play as Vader taking out all the Jedi.
Show me anything. Just show me. Let me read something. Let me watch something. Let me play something. I just want to see literally Darth Vader kills the Star Wars universe. That would be the best thing. Just literally Darth Vader getting on his Executor Star Destroyer, going from planet to planet, killing everything he sees. That would be amazing. Huge thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
All right, guys, that's Unleashed. Thanks for walking. Thanks for walking. Christopher walking. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time right here on the Rebel Scum Podcast YouTube channel.
Hey, scumbags. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.